Let's talk about the 2026 Met Gala. This year's theme centered around the idea of fashion as art, and the looks on that carpet reflected exactly that. Celebrities showing up in outfits inspired by sculptures, paintings, and iconic art pieces. It was a genuinely interesting concept for a theme, and I'll be honest with you, for the most part, I wasn't overly impressed with what I saw. But there were definitely some looks that caught my attention, and we're going to get into all of it. But before we even get to the fashion, there's something that needs to be addressed first. Olandria from Love Island was reportedly snubbed from the carpet at the last minute, and that is not okay. Now, I understand that Olandria faces an uphill battle in the fashion world simply because of where she came from. The industry tends to look down on reality stars and influencers and doesn't take them seriously as fashion figures. But Olandria has put in real work. She served consistently good looks and built a following that deserves recognition. If she had walked that carpet, she would have been one of the most talked about moments of the entire night. According to her makeup artist, known as Painted by Esther, Olandria was cut at the very last minute. Painted by Esther posted saying they played with her girl and that next time it would be different. When a fan asked what that meant, she clarified that she couldn't go into what happened behind the scenes, but confirmed it simply wasn't happening this year. Fans were devastated. One person said they were going to cry, and Painted by Esther responded by telling them not to, reminding everyone that just being considered was already a significant achievement and that Olandria's hard work shouldn't be overlooked. Personally, I'm not satisfied with how this was handled. From what was reported, she was supposed to be on that carpet. To be cut at the last minute is disrespectful, and I genuinely hope the full story comes out, because I want to know which fashion house was unprofessional enough to pull that move. Justice for Olandria, full stop. Now, let's get into the looks. Kim Kardashian was a bit of a mess, honestly. She showed up wearing a piece by Alan Jones, one of his vintage body-sculpted plate suits. The concept was there, but something about the overall execution felt like it was missing a key element. That said, it's Kim, so she gets a certain level of grace just by showing up. Cardi B wore a Marc Jacobs dress that was definitely a statement. The silhouette was actually interesting, and I appreciated the shape of it, but the fabric and the design pattern were not it for me. Multiple people online were saying it looked like busted intestines, and once someone said that, I could not unsee it. That being said, I don't hate it. Cardi has a way of taking a bold risk and somehow making it work on some level. It wasn't a complete miss. Madonna's look was something else entirely. I genuinely could not figure out what she was going for. The Wicked Witch of the West came to mind, but even that feels too specific. It just didn't land. Damson Idris showed up looking like he put in the absolute minimum effort, like he turned around, said, "Look at me," and walked off. But honestly, the only thing that saved him was his face. That man knows he's attractive, and he leaned on it completely. Sam Smith looked like a hot mess. There's really no other way to put it. The look gave full peacock energy, and not in a good way. Bad Bunny came dressed as an elderly gentleman in a custom look that surprisingly had some of The Weeknd's aesthetic woven into it. It was a strange but oddly compelling choice. Then there was Jafar Jackson, Michael Jackson's nephew, and he looked genuinely handsome. His energy reminded me of Prince Naveen. It was his first Met Gala appearance, so the fact that his outfit was a little on the basic side gets a pass. First time on that carpet, you're still finding your footing. Here's the rewritten script. Doechie's YSL fit honestly wasn't really on theme. It gave more beige packaging tape than high fashion, and there wasn't much else going on with it. It just wasn't giving what it needed to give. Now, Tyla's look was okay. She came in Valentino, and the glam was genuinely nice. The makeup, the hair, the body makeup all worked together beautifully. She looked good. But given how artistic her previous Met Gala appearances have been, I was expecting her to really push the boundaries this year. Instead, it played it pretty safe. It was something she could have worn almost anywhere. I don't hate it, but I expected more. Then there was actress Chase Infinity, and I have to say, she was fully on theme. She wore a Tom Brown gown that was actually inspired by real art, and I genuinely loved this dress. There's something about her presence that gives me Zendaya energy, and I don't think that's an accident. It feels like Hollywood is actively searching for its next leading biracial actress, and Chase seems to be stepping into that lane. Zendaya didn't even attend this year. She's reportedly boycotting the gala over Jeff Bezos being named as a sponsor. So Chase had her moment, and she made the most of it. Now, oddly enough, I also really liked Doechie's other look, her Marc Jacobs piece. That one was a completely different story. It was giving African art with a stunning headdress that felt very reminiscent of Erykah Badu. Was it a little risque and more exposed than some people would prefer? Sure. But what I appreciated most was that she was wearing the outfit. The outfit was not wearing her. That's a real distinction. SZA went with a butterfly gown from Emily Bode, and it had a beautiful, whimsical quality to it. Was it my favorite look of the night? No, but I appreciated the lightness and the creativity behind it. Heidi Klum did what Heidi Klum does. She committed fully and completely. She came dressed as a living statue, directly inspired by the veiled lady sculpture. And look, I have to be honest, she looked a little wild out there. It was giving more Halloween costume than high fashion. But she committed to the theme harder than almost anyone on that carpet, and for that, she deserves her credit. Now let me get into some of the looks I genuinely loved. The Delirium dress by Robert Juan was absolutely stunning, one of the most creative pieces of the entire night. Hailey's Michael Kors gown was beautiful and timeless, with incredible artistic detail that gave real Princess of Govia energy. The Jean-Paul Gaultier details on another gown that caught my eye were equally impressive. Jisoo from Blackpink wore a Dior gown that was simply gorgeous, elegant, refined, and perfectly executed. And then there was Janelle Monáe in a custom Christian Siriano creation that was nothing short of breathtaking. The level of detail and intricacy in that gown was remarkable. Janelle always shows up to the Met Gala ready to make a statement. She is genuinely one of the underrated icons of this event. She consistently delivers something creative and theatrical while keeping it rooted in fashion. This particular piece blended nature and technology in a way that felt completely original. I loved every inch of it. But one of the absolute highlights of the entire night was Anak Yai. She walked out looking like a living, breathing sculpture. The makeup alone was stunning, just stunning. Her look appeared to be inspired by the Francisco Zafria Crying Virgin sculptures, and the artistry behind it was undeniable. She wore a black Balenciaga dress that complemented the entire concept perfectly. Her face is art on its own, and everything together made for one of the most memorable looks of the night. Now, let's talk about the two biggest stars of the evening, Rihanna and Beyonce. Starting with Rihanna. She arrived in a Maison Margiela gown, and the craftsmanship on that dress was genuinely incredible. The sculpting, the embellishments, the sequin work, a tremendous amount of artistry went into it. But I have to be fully honest, I didn't love it on Rihanna. Something about the overall look felt slightly off, whether it was the makeup pairing or the way the gown sat on her. It felt like the dress was wearing her rather than the other way around, and it aged her slightly in a way that didn't feel intentional. None of that takes away from the dress itself. It was stunning, but as a complete look on Rihanna specifically, it wasn't my favorite from her. And now, the main event, Beyonce. Beyonce served as a co-chair at this year's Met Gala, and she arrived alongside her daughter Blue Ivy and husband Jay-Z. Watching her beam with pride standing next to Blue Ivy was a genuinely sweet moment. The expression on her face when Jay-Z stepped into the frame was a little different, but I'll leave that alone. Beyonce wore a gown by Olivier Rousteing for Balmain, featuring a striking skeletal design throughout the dress. I do think the tailoring could have been slightly more refined around the midsection, but overall she looked happy and radiant. This was her first Met Gala appearance in 10 years, and honestly, I wasn't sure she was going to walk the carpet at all. The fact that she did made it feel like a real moment. Blue Ivy also made her Met Gala debut, wearing Balenciaga, and she absolutely delivered. The look was fashionable, classy, and completely age-appropriate. Her shoes were a great choice. For her first appearance on that carpet, she genuinely shined, and I loved to see it. Overall, the 2026 Met Gala was solid for what it was.
There weren't many looks that truly stopped you in your tracks, but having both Rihanna and Beyonce on that carpet in the same night was significant on its own. And the moment Rihanna gave Beyonce a public shout-out was a genuinely good moment. It effectively put to rest all the rumors suggesting the two were at odds with each other. That alone made the night worth remembering.